Okay, so I can see coping with the lockdown.
Is there a possibility to send a message?
Chat, I guess.
Okay, chat. We cannot hear you.
Still not hearing me?
Hearing me?
Okay, now I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
So you're hearing me clearly? I hope.
Yes, now I can.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. I think I bought this new headphone to use, and it somehow doesn't work as well as just talking to my laptop. So I resort to that for this session, but I thought it would have been good to get this headphone going. All right, so hi guys. I think maybe since it seems like we might be a small group, I'm not sure. We have 85 people signed up for this session, but the nature of this kind of stuff is that people might be trying to fit this into their schedule. So it may be ongoing. So since we're seemingly a small group, I think it might be good to just say hi and say who we are, where we're based, just to get that conversation going.
Who would you like to start first?
Okay, hi. So my name is Miguel. I'm based in Muscat, Oman. I have been an MYP coordinator for 5 years now. I've done a number of work with the IB, doing some research for e-assessment. We're one of the beacon schools when it comes to the type of stuff that we're doing. I've been 25 years in education, 8 years within international schools set up. Originally from Jamaica, lived in the UK, British citizen, living, working overseas with my family of 3. And math teacher by trade. And yeah, I'm not teaching anymore, but I still hold mathematics quite dear to my heart. So when I looked at the schedule, I was wondering what was missing. I didn't seem to have enough conversations that bring a problem that my teachers were bringing to me. So that's why I wanted to just find out what people were doing as well and just open a conversation on this. So that's me, I'm Miguel. All right, so can move
Jacqueline?
over. Yeah, who's
Okay.
next?
Okay, my name is Jacqueline, and I'm based in Berlin. Presently, we are under quarantine.
Ooh.
And so therefore, a lot of our learning is online. And we find it challenging with respect to assessment, like summative assessments, summative quizzes and tests, how to effectively follow through with these summative tests and quizzes, knowing that the students are not receiving help on the other side of the screen, right? So that's my concern. I've been teaching here in Berlin for 21 years now. And yeah, I think I will pass the baton.
Yeah. Glenn.
Next person.
Glenn Diding. Okay. Hi, I'm James. I'm in Dresden at the moment. We have an Ausgangssperre, so that means that we are working at home, but we don't have a quarantine situation. Yeah, I'm head of the maths here and have been for the last 7 years. Moving to Cologne now, Cologne at the end of this year. Interested in knowing what other people are experiencing. We are talking about assessments at the moment as well, coming up to the end of the year, report writing. There seems to be more talk about formative assessment rather than summative at the moment, because of the issues of whether it is their own work and whether we can check that. So I'm interested in hearing what other people think, and I'm looking forward to the session. So that's me.
Robert Alfonso.
Hi, I'm Rob Alfonso. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. I can.
Okay.
Oh, okay, good. I'm Rob Alfonso. I'm from the UK. I'm based in Singapore at the moment. I'm head of mathematics here. We are having the same kind of conversation. So we're on lockdown at the moment. The lockdown was supposed to end on the 4th of May. However, yesterday it was announced that it's going to go on till the 1st of June. So we kind of said to ourselves, until the 4th of May, we'll stay away from criterion A, and we'll wait till we get back to do criterion A. That looks like it's not going to be so possible anymore. So we've got some difficult conversations to come. I think for us, we're going to be talking a lot to other subjects, because I think a lot of the other subjects tend to do assessments that the kids go away and complete as projects, and we probably do a bit less of that in mathematics. So I'm hoping to get some good ideas from them. And from you guys.
Yeah. Who is next? I think I see Demetrio.
Yes, hey, I'm Dimitru. I'm from Ukraine. I'm teaching currently in Albania, and we are for the 7 week right now, and we're doing distance learning. As Robert said, mostly we are focusing on doing some project-based assessments which students can do. So this worked out pretty well so far, and I'm looking to see what other people are doing and get some other ideas of what we can do with students to make it more fun and easier for them and a little more objective maybe.
Yeah, thank you. Romian?
I'm Rumin. I'm from South Africa.
Yeah, nice.
Yes, Rumin. I'm rude. The students know I'm rude and mean. Just drop the D. So I'm Rumin. I'm from South Africa. I've been out of the country for 10 years, of which 7 years in MYP schools. Been in Malawi, Africa for 2 years MYP. And it's my sixth year at the same school in Dubai at the moment. MYP, I've been HOD for 4 years. I've dropped that last year because I want to get back to teaching only. Yes, we have done our first criterion A assessment this week with the grade 6s, and we are doing criterion B with grade 7s next week. So I just want to get some more ideas also and see what we can share here on how we can go about with it.
Yep, sounds good. Anyone who hasn't spoken yet can just share a little. Mrs. Gowanlock. Who hasn't spoken yet? Just share. Dilip.
I'm from the UK, but based in Portugal.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm from the UK, but based in Portugal at the moment, and just a lot more. And my head of department's here as well, so maybe she's to speak next.
HOD.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Katerina. I'm teaching at St. Dominic's. Anna is one of my colleagues. I also have Rita here, if I'm not mistaken. So not all the team is here. Sorry, my video doesn't work. I've had to switch to another laptop. One doesn't work the sound, the other one doesn't have a camera. So we have taught 3 weeks before Easter, doing online, which we only did formative assessment. Now we are starting term 3, and we have to plan assessments for term 3. And we have, so we are brainstorming how to assess them during this term. Our MYP coordinator told us that we don't need to assess all of them, since we had already assessed all the descriptors in term 1 and 2. So he gave us a little bit of flexibility regarding assessment in term 3. So we should do more formative than summative, but we can choose which criterion to assess during this term.
Okay, thanks. Dilip. Dilip. Alip? He's not hearing me. Are you guys hearing me? Am I gone? Am I here?
No, I can hear you.
It seems, I wonder if as more
I
people
believe
join
he doesn't have audio.
I think as it join, more people join, the Dilip seems to be going in and out. All right, guys. So it seems like we have maybe the group that's here. I hope everyone had a chance to speak. So yeah, I think we all came here for the same reason, which is, as I said, from my perspective, my department has constantly been saying, what do we do? It's interesting that someone said that criterion A is off the table, which the problem that we had before was criterion A was the one that was always on the table. So yeah, it's just to open that conversation to hear what people are doing. So I don't know, I think the way that I wanted to run through this was to keep the idea of online learning there and just share some questions, and then we just respond to that question and see how far we get. Perhaps we can leave with some great ideas or sharpen some of the stuff that we're working on. All right, I just nod if you're hearing what I'm saying, because I don't know if you are. You are? Okay, great. So let me just pop this up on the screen, just the questions that we might work through, and just a response from anyone. I don't want to be going back and forth saying next person, just don't, just, yeah, just go. So yeah, I've just popped the questions up. Let me see if this works in the way that I hope it works. I might need to press, okay. So yeah, I kind of put some stuff together. We're all MYP people. So I have this nice one that we have in our school where we have all of the criteria on it. Just, I don't know if anyone's interested. And that just has all from year 1 to year 5, year 1, year 3, year 5. It's a nice graphic to keep track of how they move. And I kind of went into the guide and I took out some of what IB felt were the kind of stuff that we would do. So as you can see, classroom tests become the first one. I get emails all the time. So how am I going to do the test so kids don't cheat? And that really was a big question for me. So let's question 1, what considerations might guide the creation of summative assessment tasks? What are the kind of things that's now guiding that discussion in your schools? Anyone?
I think they're mainly worried whether students would cheat.
Yeah, is that across the board?
Yeah, and more so if you assume they are going to cheat, does everyone have access to the same resources as each other so that it's inequitable? If we assume they are going to use parents, textbooks, apps, if everyone would have access to the same things, it would be okay because you can just grade it accordingly. But if people don't have access and some people are getting more help than others, then it's just not fair.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
On that front, do you find that as maths you treat your summative assessments the same way as other subjects? Because I find with us, we're perhaps a bit, well, a lot more inclined to lean towards in-class assessments than other subjects. So I kind of wonder how much they have to deal with those issues of kids collaborating or, you know, lifting stuff, plagiarizing, which we minimize by just not giving them assessments that are outside of the classroom to an extent. So I don't know, is that something that your other departments deal with as well?
I mean, other subjects definitely do more project and outside of classroom assessments. The discussion that we're having is how can we check the understanding? If they do have an assessment, how can we check that it is their understanding? And there seems to be some kind of agreement that we have to have some kind of audio feedback. So maybe we have in small groups, we can test their understanding and test maybe ask them particular questions about their their work which they've handed in. I mean, it's not just for criteria A, obviously, or maybe a video explanation, which I think has worked quite well. So they actually write down their work, and then they do a quick video explanation of what they've done and how they've managed to how they managed to get to the results. I think, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, in Germany, we do in the German schools they have a verbal defense, and yeah, so it's a bit like that. And I think in Germany they're quite used to having a kind of a verbal defense, and I don't see anything wrong with that. And you can do that in small groups or individually, depending on how much time. Obviously, time is an issue. So that's something which we're playing with, that kind of idea. And but they might just also, in terms of different criteria, they might just do a audio response, a Google Slides or something like that, and do an audio response, and you can also check up on their understanding that way.
We're talking criterion A. Is it, James, you're talking criterion A here?
No, any criteria. I mean, criteria A is maybe a little bit more difficult, but to be honest, I'm less worried about all these plagiarisms. I mean, you can do it in Google Form maybe, so that you can get their responses. I mean, as long as you put a time limit on it, then I mean, how much chance do they have of plagiarizing? And you know your students as well. So I mean, I know what my students are capable of doing. I think for me, criteria A may be a little bit more tricky, but I'm less worried about that. I'm more interested in the learning, and I'm interested in more, at the moment, doing more kind of mini projects and seeing whether they can show me their creativity in mathematics using projects, and try to have some formative feedback with them on that. And then we are actually allowed here to be able to do assess criteria from formative feedback as well. So not all just summative, which is new to me, but we can see through lessons if they submit assignments during lessons, or any work which we see, or any understanding that we see, then that will be formative in a sense that it's not the end result, but we are allowed to use those formative feedback also to be able to for their report writing as well.
Yeah. Anything else, Ramin?
Yes, we made it very clear to our students the message from the principal that he said that they must remember that their final grade for the year will be based on evidence of sustained attainment. So elevated grades during remote learning will not elevate their final grade. So we have put that out very clearly to them, that because I have one student specifically out of my 125 that the sibling is answering everything behind him. But I mean, it couldn't work for the assessment this week. But usually this sibling will do everything. But I made it very clear to all of them that this is just basically to get your second assessment or your third assessment done. This is not going to, if you had a 3 before and you now have a 7, you're not going to get a 5, you're going to get a 3, because that is your level. So they have been drilled that in every day. They know that they are assessed throughout the year. So that's very important for them to remember. But with the criteria A that we had this year, they couldn't cheat.
Any thoughts on that?
This is Jacqueline speaking now.
Yes.
And basically, we've been in lockdown for almost towards the end of the 3rd week now. And I've been experimenting with my different groups, my DP groups, as well as my MYP groups, with summative quizzes and summative tests. And basically, we use Google platform. And in Google platform, they have Google Classroom, and then you can create a task, and one of the tasks is to create a quiz. And with the quiz, you can organize it as an exam and post in different questions, and then they have a specific time limitation on when they can start the test and end the test. And this is for summative assessment A. Criteria A.
Criterion A.
Assessment, right. And one thing is that, you know, the screen needs to be locked. So therefore, they're not able to send their papers out to an external person to answer their questions for them and then return it back to them. And they have Google Chrome, I think, lock, where you can lock the screen. As they're working on the questions, they're not able to use any of the other windows on their computer. And then they would need to upload their answers within a given time to ensure that their tutor on the other side of Berlin is not answering the questions for them, right? Another idea I had was maybe class marker. Class marker is another assessment tool where you could actually design quizzes and tests and have them submit the answers, and then basically, yeah, it's difficult under time. So it's difficult for anyone else to answer the questions for them. So basically what I'm looking for are tools like apps that we use with the students for assessment A, so that the questions are like, if we know that we're posting a question that's 6 minutes, that they take 6 minutes with 2 minutes upload time, and they don't go beyond the 6 minutes for that question, and then it moves on to the next, right?
Oh. Jacqueline?
So scheduling and having them fixed with time. Yes?
What was the name of the second one you said?
Class Marker, M-A-R-K-E-R, classmarker.com.
Right. I know our DP HL maths teacher was going to do something similar in terms of timed questions for summative assessments, where he was just going to have a live Google Meet or Zoom with them and give them a set number of minutes to do a particular question, then they submit it and just do it one question at a time. Which I think a DPHL type question maybe lends itself a bit more to that than maybe shorter MYP tasks, but yeah, if it works, it works.
We've been finding our pupils are using an app called Photomap, which they use on their phones, and it's very, very good. Like, very good. They could doing a timed assessment with it on their phone and be submitting it in the time allowed. It shows all the steps, shows the working. So a few of our sort of assessments and things have been running through that, just for it to actually pick up the questions or not. But it's pretty powerful, and it's learning. It's getting better as more people are using it.
So is that Photomap, M-A-P?
M-A-T-H, map.
Photomap.
Yeah, Photomap.
So it takes can I just clarify? It takes a picture of the question and provide the working.
Yeah, you don't actually even take a photo. You can just sort of hold it up, and it works through it. And you get the steps and everything. I mean, I've stopped doing maths, just use that as well.
Yeah.
Have any of you tried, one thing we were considering, we haven't done it yet, was asking parents if they would, not invigilate as such, but give the students a room where they've got no access to computers, no access to their phones, and time them to do a paper. I'm not sure it's something we could trust 100%, but it's something we're considering trying to put out to parents. We'll see what response we get back. But has anyone tried to do it?
No.
No. Okay.
No, but I know my daughter, she sometimes has to have an adult with her during the lessons. So, I mean, that's the same kind of thing. But, I mean, yeah, that's a good idea. If you have the live chat on, then you can see them as well. So, I think you can also observe them if they are trying to plagiarize as well. I was just wondering if anyone's thought of doing things like something like Kahoot, which you have put the questions into Kahoot, and then they've got everyone does the questions at the same time, and they press A, B, C, D. It's multiple choice, obviously, but I mean, then you get instant feedback. You can do that on Google Forms as well. You can get it's more multiple choice that way, but it might be one way of maybe getting around it as well. There may be some apps out there which may be quite good. I know Kahoot is quite nice.
Easy to use as well.
Easy to use, yeah.
But for assessment level, criteria level 8, 7, 8, I think Kahoot would not be.
Yeah.
Not challenging enough, yeah.
Yeah, just one quick one here. It's interesting. Let me ask something about criterion B, C, and D, because I think most of our challenges seem to be coming with trying to do the things that we have maybe developed a clear practice around. We were very, very good at organizing criterion A. We knew how to do it. Do we feel the same about giving assessments for criterion B, C, and D? Do we have any worries, sleepless nights on this as math people?
I have more than for criterion A. Because criterion B is following a specific direction. I mean, you start with the question number 1 and you go through. But to link to Kahoot, I have not used Kahoot. I've used quizzes for criterion A because I've scrambled the questions, and I have given them 3 different forms of the quizzes. So they couldn't cheat because they could answer exactly all the steps, everything in quizzes, which Kahoot is only multiple choice. But when I get to a criterion B, it will be in order. First it's this and then it's that, because they're investigating. So there's more a chance of them cheating. So I don't know which platform to use for that. I'm thinking of GoFormative, but I'm more concerned about those than criterion A. Criterion A quizzes, you can shuffle everything.
Yeah, that's so true.
And they have their second device ready there. They cheat with each other that you don't even see it. They have a phone thing, they make contact. So I'm concerned about that one next week.
I was going to say, in our school, we are using the Teams in Windows, and the quiz allowed, it opens, we can put their math option, and the kids will be able to write it down, all the working out. And also it helps, it shuffles automatically, so we can it's one of the features, we can click on that features. So for each kid, the questions will come automatically in a different way. So we don't need to create 3 different quizzes, because the first question for Anna will be different from the first question to Rita or someone, and so far and so forth. And also allows us to give feedback for each of the questions that they are answering. So we have been using that in terms of formative assessment, and at least for me in grade 10s and 11, it has worked very well, because I can always, for each of the questions they answer, not only I can see them communicating correctly because they have all the math equation there, the math editor that they can use to write all their reasoning, but also I can give feedback by typing in that situation. Today and yesterday, myself and Anna, we have been trying using the notebook also in Teams, and so we put there the worksheet for the students, and they solve, and we can see in real time them solving. They can use the draw menu, and we also are able to give feedback to them straight away. So in terms of formative assessment for any of the criterion that at least with Teams, that doesn't seem a problem. It's actually making them for B and C, for B more, I think it's more B than D, because D, we can give them a project and then each student will explore in a different way. But for B, we also been discussing how can we make an investigation and assess them summative in a way that the investigation will go different ways, and each student in the end will have a different right? Because if we use the structure more or less like an e-assessment, then it follows like Romeo was saying, 1, 2, 3, 4, and everyone can have it.
So if we maybe talk about maybe trying to figure out assessing learning per se, and not necessarily assessing to get a criterion, right? How are we, because I think it's clear that getting students to do this is a principal issue, it's an academic honesty issue. Parents maybe signing on with that. I've been mentioned that, because we do e-assessment and we have some issues with that, with language acquisition, because we didn't get a chance to do our orals. And so IB has created a document that's called Response to the Adult. I don't know if you're familiar with it. And it means that when exams are being done, we can send this home to parents and they can agree to be an invigilator on behalf of IB in their home. Now, obviously, that has its own challenges, but I'm just saying that IB produced this document. But I also want to move a little bit away from the criteria, the assessment, kind of getting a grade level, and wonder about how do we, from the distance that we are, really know if what we're doing, if kids are actually learning, and how do we kind of figure that out? I mean, how are we like looking at the learning part of it? I understand the assessment piece, that's going to be really challenging. But how are we assessing just the day-to-day kind of progress of kids? What are some of the strategies, technology we're using?
It's basically what Katerina said. You're using the notebook in Microsoft Teams, and if you were in a classroom with them face to face, the moment you know whether they've got it or not is how quickly they start work.
Yeah.
They put pen to paper, get things written down. And with that notebook function, you can quickly look through each person's worksheet as they're going, and you can see how quickly they've to work, how much progress they've made, because you're seeing it in more or less real time. So today I was going through, just like in the classroom, you walk up to someone and they can see you looking at their work. I was thinking, Rita, I'm looking at your work right now. Thank you, that looks great. You've made a really good job, thank you. Okay, Glenn, I'm looking at your work now.
Yeah.
Looks like you've been a bit stressed. Do you want to talk about it? And that was really effective. And gave me much more of an idea that people have been listening, whether they've understood it, and you can see them working just like in the classroom.
Okay, so that's Microsoft Notebooks in Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, okay. You can set up class notebooks. You put a worksheet in and you distribute it to the class, and it goes into their individual notebook, and then they can write on top of it. If they've got a touch screen particularly, they could use a pen on top. Okay. If not, you just use the mouse or you can type on top of it. It was very effective.
I know that a strategy that a lot of other departments have been using. We don't use Microsoft. We've asked each child for a task to have a Google Doc, which they share, and then you can monitor what they're doing as they do it. I think for us, it's just for entering maths equations, for doing their working with maths, it just doesn't work. So it's good to hear that there is something with Microsoft, because I know how I work for a GEMS school, and the GEMS group does support Microsoft Teams. We're the rogue school at the moment, not using Microsoft. So that gives me something to go back with if that's a plus of using Microsoft Teams.
Oh, wow. Dilip, you've been here for a while, have you? Dilip is gone. Hello, Dimitru.
Hello.
Yeah, I think we all got kicked.
I think it was 40 minutes of.
Oh, it's 40 minutes.
Meeting.
Oh, yeah. That wasn't fun. Oh dear. Yeah, I think we got kicked out. It's a 40-minute warning. Oh, I need to upgrade to the pro plan. I think we got kicked because we exceeded 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think people are coming back anyway. Hey, James, we got kicked. We went over 40 minutes. I think everyone's coming back in. Hello. Hello. You guys hearing me?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So yeah, I just think we got kicked because we went over 40 minutes. Zoom has this thing that if you have more than 3 people in a meeting, then clearly you're running a business. And so after 40 minutes, we got kicked out. So yeah, I think we all got kicked. Yeah, so I think we're coming back now anyway. All right, so we were just talking just for the, Dilip, you were here. Dilip, you're hearing me? Hello, Dilip. He's not hearing me.
Oh, I think he's muted.
Oh, he's muted. Ara? Yes, Ara, you want to just talk a little bit, just tell us a little, welcome to the discussion and just tell us a little about yourself.
Hello. I am a new math teacher. I'm a science teacher, but just last year I am teaching math, MYP 2, which is basically MYP 1 in some schools. So it's grade 7.
Okay.
And I live here in the Arctic. I am from Tromsø, Norway.
Oh.
I have so much snow outside. If only I could see. You could see that. Yeah.
Well, that's as far north as we have gone. We had someone from the Ukraine, but I think that's maybe more east than north.
Yes, I am in the Arctic, so
Okay, nice to have
Norway.
you. Nice to have
Yes.
you.
And I'm excited to learn from you guys.
Yeah, just a recap. We were just talking about some of the challenges we have with criterion A. Just the fact that trying to do an assessment on criterion A, what happens is that we're trying to figure out how do we get students to do this in a principled manner using IB terminology and trying to recreate that same environment for them. And a number of people have shared some of the kind of technology that they've been using to assess learning. And yeah, I'm just trying to be creative. For the most part, we feel that criteria B, C, and D are within our remit because we can allow them to function with those outside of a maybe fully supervised environment, but criterion A still remains a challenge. So we were moving on into a discussion about just assessing learning in general and not necessarily so much to get a grade, but just to know if students are learning as we teach. So that's really where we were, and then we were kicked out. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that about what exactly are we doing. One person mentioned something called Microsoft Notebook that is within Microsoft Teams. So if you're using Microsoft Teams, then you'd be able to use that, and that's where you could just
we use Microsoft Teams.
Okay, so tell us, that's where we are. I want to figure out what are people doing, or are we assessing learning in classrooms, in online classrooms, not necessarily a test grade, but just to see how they're learning. How are we doing that? The ideas.
To be honest, I have not done any assessment online yet.
Yeah.
during this time because we're currently in a new unit. Yeah. And one of my struggles is how to make sure that I am actually hitting the strands. So I could, I at the end of this, if all the formatives come to a summative, because our school is not yet like determined, and how can we really make those, how can we make out of this in the end? Because we don't know when will this end.
Yeah, there's no end.
Yeah.
There's no end.
Yeah.
And which is why it's important that, because we don't know if there's an end, that we have to start thinking about exactly how do we know that our students are learning math, you know, because we finish a unit and then we go, okay, now we teach something. So how are we making sure that they're learning math? Because if this becomes a new normal, what do we do? What are the things we're doing?
So one of the things, I don't know, I'm not a big textbook advocate, but we have, being in Asia, parents want textbooks, the kids want textbooks, it's fine. So we did invest in the Oxford series of MYP textbooks. I don't know if you've come across those, but they're very good. They are very MYP. So each chapter is a different topic, but it's arranged as an MYP unit. So you've got your key concepts, related concepts, a statement of inquiry, some ATLs attached to it. And it's got tasks within it that are in a criterion B style, criterion CD tasks. And so it's very good. But what I like about it at the moment, where it's really starting to shine, is for lots of the tasks, for lots of the activities, and even just the practice questions, there are questions where the students have to explain things, explain ideas, explain concepts, describe how they've come to an answer, what their understanding of something is, where they might use it, how they might use it in other situations. And that then really starts to show their understanding of the topic, and not just that they are getting answers somewhere else, or you know, blindly copying other people or getting something off the internet. It really does show an understanding when they submit written answers that explain in their own words what their understanding is.
Yeah, I'm using the questions in the MYP planner. So factual, conceptual, and debatable, and using a Google Doc, and they have to answer those questions at the end of each lesson, or maybe the end of each week. So I actually see what their thinking is in terms of them writing down how they would answer those kind of questions. So yeah, it's similar to what I'm doing as well. Yeah.
If I may ask, how are your lessons structured now? Because in our school, we only have like 2 hours of lesson, and we have 9 subjects. So basically, I need my MYP to 1 hour a week in this online learning, and then everything we use ManageBack as our like platform, and then we have lessons in teams, because here in Norway they're very strict with like GDPR. So it took us like a week and a half before the town ICT is able to put all of us in teams, because we cannot work beyond teams. So how are your lessons? How does it look like?
Well,
how many hours do you meet in a week?
Yeah, I think you're asking about the structures, yeah? Schools, what they're doing, yeah.
Personally, I check in with my classes at the beginning of each lesson. If I need to go through anything, I will do that. I might set them some exercises and then pretty much lead them to it. And I'll leave the video chat open so they can ask questions if they want to share, if they want to do that. If it's possible for me to get them to share a Google document, then I'll do that so I can see what they're doing as they do it. And then I set it up as a Google assignment. They have to submit it at the end of the lesson so I can see they've done some work and I can see the work they've done. And that's relatively easy for them to just snap a photo and upload it. So that's generally how my lessons have been going.
Yeah. And I think one of the other questions she was asking was how many times, like what's your contact time with students in that same structure? How often?
So ours, we got the same timetable we have at school.
Oh,
we have a 7-day rotation. The kids have exactly the same timetable, so they come and see me during their timetable lessons. So I get them 5 times a rotation, 5 50-minute sessions every 7 days. I don't see them, you know, I don't run a video lesson for all of that time. Our minimum requirements at school is they've said they want us to check in with the kids 3 times a cycle by video. I've been doing every lesson just say hello, to see that they're there and engaged. But I'm quite lucky then.
Basis. So again, like the previous caller said, that at the beginning of the lesson, we just basically check in with them, show them what their activities are for the day, and we often do a screencast and maybe just show them the activity and just lead them through the activity, and just really the nuts and bolts of it, and just if there's any problems, then they can ask then. But we have a streamline open so that they can ask us questions, but they should get in touch with their buddies first and try to make them as independent as possible.
We were doing something similar. Sorry, we were doing something similar the first 2 weeks of the studying, online learning, and then we moved to basically asynchronous model. So we had the students have the same schedule, but they have 2, say, office hours for the teachers when they go, and they optionally can drop on in and ask questions. And what I do with my students, we have the Hangout chats of for each of the grades. So whenever they have any questions, they ask it there, and then most of the time some other students will help and give the answers or give some directions, or if not, then I'll step in and help them with that. So for other students, it works a little better. First week was more difficult for them, but then actually see how they become more independent. And I think in this time, instead of sticking to what we've done in the classroom, I'm trying to get something to get them more independent and actually learn, not that focusing that much on how it will be assessed, but what they'll do after they actually, what they can do on their own. And so this is working pretty well for them. Some of them get really skyrocketed with being independent and learning, and they're working ahead, because what we've done as well, we are posting the whole unit for them with all the tasks which due every day, when it's basically according to the schedule. For example, I have class today before midnight, then they submit their work. But if they want to work ahead, they can finish this week's and next week's class on their own ahead of the schedule. So this works pretty well for strong students. Weaker students are more often in the chat asking questions, but I think this is more advantageous. It gives more time to give feedback to those who need them than to be constantly on time schedule, because it's really difficult being online and checking all of the works and giving the feedback. So this is what works for us.
I think the issue we have with that is, I think the school's probably a little bit worried that if we reduce our contact time, parents are going to start coming back at them about that. So yeah, I don't think we're going to go down that route.
I think Norway is lucky that the well-being of the kids are being looked after, because being on the screen for like how many hours a day, that's too much. It's even too much for us adults, how much more for them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I see that with my own kid. She's a 6th grader, so yeah. It's I think one of the hard times this time is how to balance well-being and also academic excellence. But I have a question about criterion A, or any assessment. How do you make sure that academic honesty is being practiced at this time. I just went to another webinar before this in Manage Back. It's called Assess Prep.
Assess prep. Yeah.
Prep.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's also one of my questions there, but I wasn't able to get any response. They said that they're working on it and so on and so forth. So, but how about you? How will you be able to make sure that
Well,
academic
we
honesty
use Assess Prep because we are an e-assessment school, so it provides similar conditions. But the challenge that we have is that it's still the same problem, isn't it? It's still, our issue has never been about our students maybe just working on the screen. It's about the support that they may get from parents, from adults around who might want them to do their best. And that pressure on them to believe that everyone else is cheating, so it might as well they do it as well. So I think Assess Prep functions like it's a very good integration in ManageBack. But I think in the end, we're back to square one. The real issue is academic honesty, and that's a personal decision. That's really a personal decision and not a school. We can't regulate that, not very easily,
Yeah.
Has anyone used Gradescope?
Never heard of it.
Okay, it's something, Gradescope.
Okay.
Something that was mentioned to us just this week and we're looking into, but it's a way of administering tests online. So I don't know anything about it, but I think we're doing some investigation.
Somebody's asking what is Gradescope, so maybe elaborate a little.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about it. I just thought I'd ask the question because it's something that was mentioned this week as a tool, an online.
We are. Hi everybody, I am Joya from India, and we are a Microsoft Showcase school. So on Microsoft Teams, I find assessments on assignments a very good tool. The children we upload the graded assignments. It can be a Word document or a PDF, and the children have a timed assignment to turn it back into us by say midnight or next morning by 9 o'clock, and then I'm able to mark it right there and then and return it to the kids.
Or which is it for criterion A or for any criterion?
It can be any criteria that the tool instead of Assess Prep, you can also try Teams. I'm typing it. Maybe internet connection is not great. I'm just typing it.
Hi, I'm Achla. I'm also from India. We are using Google Forms also for investigation for criterion B. And it is really working very nicely, especially with the MYP 1 and 2, 6 and 7s. Recently, we did with grade 7, so it worked very well for criterion B.
So that's Google Forms, you're saying, yeah?
Yes, we did use Google Forms.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
So at the moment, people are talking about Gradescope.
We have inbuilt our own.
Go on, Joy.
Hello.
Hi. So on Teams, the graded assignments, if you give 2 or 3 questions to assess the students' learning after the online lesson, it's very handy tool. So by the end, your 45 minutes are there. The child can immediately solve the questions and put them up back in by say another half an hour or so. And then you can, to an extent, judge the academic honesty part of it also, because they are not delayed submissions.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that? Because I think again, I want to reiterate that this is about assessing mathematics learning. I mean, while we want to assess tests and get the grades, there's still the more important part of learning. As the kids are learning, how are we knowing that they're learning what we're teaching? So It's very important that we have ways of checking.
One thing that I've refound again is Geogebra, and I love Geogebra.
Yeah.
And Geogebra apps are fantastic. And so I often find a Geogebra app or make one myself and do a screencast on that and then post it to my students as an example. And then with Geogebra, you can change the variables. And so they have, with one example, they have an infinite number of examples. And I find that really, really powerful. And then they can be creative themselves and they can create, I'm thinking one of quadratics at the moment, which I'm doing with my grade 10s. So I use PQ and A, and they use a slider for that, and can be creative and come up with different PQs and A's and show me how they can transform from the free forms going from one to the other.
Oh, wow.
I'm also doing a grade 7 at the moment with internal angles, external angles for vertices, so they can move the triangle around. And GeoGebra for me is my beloved tool. I mean, it's fantastic. And so they can show me B, C, and D for me. I mean, maybe not D, but B and C definitely. They can on GeoGebra they can come up with their own explanation, examples, and they can present it in different ways. They can do it algebraically. They can do it verbally. They can show me as a video for using my apps, and I love it. I think it's really, really good.
Does it work in a live format, James, or is it something that they have to take screenshots and share back with you? How does it work?
For them sharing with me, yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to do a screen presentation, and then I can do that. For me, when I'm introducing it, then I do a screen presentation. I can go through the app, and I share the app with them, and then they practice at home. For me, it's a lot about them getting used to knowing that app, and then they can create their own. And it makes them independent, which is lovely. Really, really nice.
Okay, Katerina, you're using a feature that I think might be useful for us to use. She's raising her hand. Katerina, you go.
You can also use Desmos Teacher. I don't know if all of you have used or not. You already have a lot of activities there, so that you can give a code to your class and they can all work at the same time, and you as a teacher, you can see all the work that they are doing. You can stop whenever you want, and you can show what all of them are doing. You can take their names off. It has there, you can share with the names or without if you don't want to point to a specific student. And not only allows you to do the same investigation, in this case to all of them at the same time, it's also to collect or to understand what they are learning. I think it's a very good tool because everyone is, you can, when they are doing, you can see, for example, in terms of communication, if they all communicate the same way, and then you can promote a discussion by stopping in a particular activity or the particular question, and you can stop and say, okay guys, so I've seen all of this, I'm seeing all of this work, let's discuss this. And I have used this before, even before the lockdown. I used this before, and I think it works very, very well. So it's another tool besides kids can do their own work, they can investigate something, and we can. So someone is asking if it allows us to differentiate. So that's you can set. So there are some activities there that you can choose from, and the last questions are usually more difficult. No, it doesn't allow you to put more things besides what you have there. So you can create the extensions, but you need to have the task set prior. So it's not something that, at least I don't know, maybe someone will is more comfortable doing that. You can't just add something to that in the moment, only by the class discussion. I don't think the feature allows you to do it at the same time, because you need to give a code to the students to be able to join that lesson.
Okay.
Megal, I think your microphone is, you're unmute. I hope when you unmute yourself, we can hear you.
Yeah, someone mentioned, so at the moment we're hearing a number of programs that seems to be quite good to hear. Some of them are new to me. Geogebra is definitely one of the greatest hits for me. That was way back, but yeah, still going great. I see quizzes.com. Someone mentioned this. Anyone want to, I think is that Joya?
Yeah, hi. I don't know how audible I am, but if the internet connection goes, I'll keep typing on the side. Quizzes.com is also a very good platform. It helps me to integrate my Google Classroom with it.
Oh.
And it generates a report after the quiz of all the 30-60 students who've taken the test, and where differentiation is, if I have 15 questions, it will also tell me the percentage, the difficulty level of each subtopic that the children might be facing a problem with.
Oh wow.
Is it free?
Yeah, please ask.
Is it free?
Yes, it is a free online platform. They have integrated it with the Google Classrooms. Oh. And you enter it as an admin, and you can also make your own tests and put them up on quizzes.com. So when it generates the code, you can give that particular code to the class. Otherwise, excuse my dogs, just give 2 minutes. Yeah, otherwise there are algebra, trigonometry, coordinate geometry, all topics there for you to explore. I'll just post the link in this so you can check. It's a very nice dynamic platform.
Yeah, thanks for that. I see someone posting Edpuzzle. Dimitru. Edpuzzle. Anyone familiar with Edpuzzle?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you now. Yes.
Okay, Edpuzzle is a platform which allows you to take any video and basically put the questions there and prevents students from skipping or anything else before they're answering this question. So introducing new concept there, something is explained and you can put the question in multiple choice or a short answer to ask students about checking their understanding of that new thing. It kind of gives your idea first of what if students for example, watch the video that you want to introduce them instead of teaching them face to face, right? And then you can post that videos and insert any type of questions which you want in any place. And if it's multiple choice, then it's also automatically graded to show them if they're choosing the if they're showing that I understand what's going, what's explaining on that video. Or you can ask them to write short questions, short answers where you basically can go and check that. So I found it's a very useful tool and check for the formative checking on what they understand. And it also helps them not to spend too much time of going through some books or reading something, but getting more into video part which they like much more than studying something from books.
Okay. Anything else? Khan Academy. I think Khan Academy, is that the video, the lots of videos, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can insert actually Khan Academy video in Edpuzzle as well. Okay. And as they're explaining something, which actually I'm doing as well. So before the explanation from the video comes, you can check of how students can predict or how they can guess what's going on, how they get this understanding. And the great thing about Edpuzzle is that they have this common library which they share with, so any video that you make can be used by any other teachers. You can modify it or edit it. So for most of the topics, it's a big time saver. you can find many suitable videos of already questions of checking for understanding for the students instead of doing them yourself.
So that's Edpuzzle. Flipgrid, I want to just jump in on Flipgrid because I used Flipgrid yesterday and I am amazed by it. So I really, the person who typed about Flipgrid is Angela. You want to talk about it? Gonna have to unmute Angela. Yeah.
Hi.
Welcome.
Yeah, so Flipgrid's been good. Hi there. It's been good for us to do kind of higher order thinking questions where the students are responding with a video, or they're using a whiteboard that it comes with as well, to try and explain why something happens or why something works, rather than just having repetitive consolidation kind of questions.
Okay. Anyone else using Flipgrid? Anyone else using Flipgrid?
I'm using Flipgrid to actually to check a little of them on then the students do they work. They can explain one example of how they did it and explain each of the step on Flipgrid, short video. So that gives that idea if they did it themselves or if they have some misunderstandings or if they okay in moving forward with that. And it's actually faster than to check all of their work. They have short video, 1 minute, and they show one example of their choice of how they do it and how I understand.
Yeah, as I said, I used it yesterday for an entire middle school, about 300 kids. And what it does, I think the best way to describe Flipgrid is that, you know, normally you ask kids to do videos and then they may share that video with you. What Flipgrid does for you is that the kids get one link, they make that video, and then all that video is collated in one space. And so you could just watch all those videos and then you can set the maximum time for the videos. So for example, I had them doing like 1.5 minutes. And to be fair, it was because I coordinate the MYP. So I was just asking them to say, describe one time in online learning where this learner profile, a chosen learner profile, allowed you to be successful. And so they would share that back in 1.5 minutes. And then I just had last night just watching kids just sharing one after the other about which learner profile they use. So it really collates that. And I think for math, it could work as a way of maybe assessing learning. And someone mentioned that if they all could just speak, it's a nice tool and it's free for educators.
Yeah, I just saw it's free for educator sign up. And then the kids doesn't need to sign up. They just need the code for the Flipgrid. They just need the code for this.
Yeah, as I said, the learning curve is very, very quick. I went into it yesterday even, and I made the Flipgrids, and I became an expert pretty much in about 2 or 3 minutes. No, 2 or 3 minutes. You know, you get used to it. I made a lot of mistakes, but trust me, the learning curve is quite quick once you start playing with it. Yeah, that's the best I could say.
I'll try this.
I learned it very quickly. It's useful for kids, and as I say, it's free. We're looking for free resources as well, isn't it?
Yes.
So just to add in, it also integrates with Google Classroom, so the link can go straight into your Google Classroom or assignment. You can choose. So that's quite useful as well. And just to confirm, the students don't need their own account. They only need the link. They can create their account and then they can see the whole grid. But if you But if you just want them to have the topic that you've created, then one link does it all. It's quite useful for applications like which one doesn't belong. I don't know if you've used that kind of thing, or questions where there's more than one answer and you're trying to explain why something has this ambiguity. Thank you.
And I think there's the other piece where you can actually add your comments on it as well. There are videos, you can make voice comments as well as verbal comments.
Yeah, you get the option of replying with a video or written comment that can get emailed back to the student, or they can watch your video back. You can moderate the video so that only you see their video, or it can be public to the rest of the class. you can moderate it. So once you've seen it, then it becomes public to the class. And when it is public to the class, they can comment on each other's. So you can use like a 3-star and a 2-star and a wish, or kind of protocol, so they can learn about giving and receiving feedback as well. So I think it's quite cool.
So yeah, as the conversation is always about trying to figure out how can we assess maths, not necessarily to get a grade, but just to make sure that as we progress through this new normal, that we are being effective as mathematicians and getting learning happening. Because in the beginning, it was a thing that we had to figure out. But as we go on, I think we really have to be thinking, what can we do to make this as meaningful as if kids were in the classroom? I think one of my students said, this is now learning and not a novelty. That's what he said. He realized now that it's learning. So for us, I think the more we share some of these resources that we're coming across, the better we will be. So far I've just seen some amazing stuff. Some of them I've never heard of before. So really, really appreciate that for all the people who are sharing. Anybody else has anything to add? Anyone else?
I have a question. Any one of you who can share how do you make formative task for criterion B at this time?
I don't think your mic is it Subad? Are you speaking?
You can mute her as a host.
Oh, yeah, let me unmute him. Oh yeah, I can unmute him. Subad, were you speaking? Were you adding something? Thought he was. All right, guys. So here's the thing. So a number of stuff has been shared here. I think normally what happens, there'll be a video made of this. Zoom automatically creates this video. So I will have to share that video with you. I think it goes into a file and then Lenny puts that away and then people can go back through that video. A number of files. I just want to thank everyone for coming in. I am going to be kicked out of this in the next maybe 30 seconds. We have been kicked out already. We started at 2:30. We all got kicked out and we're back again. And some of you have joined and people are outside saying they're going to join. I'm sorry, I don't even need to let them in because we're going to be kicked out. So thank you all for joining and just keep the conversation going. And I hope that perhaps there was some value in coming in and learning something. I certainly did myself. So thank you very much. And
thank you.
I want to take the honor of ending the meeting before Zoom kicks me out.
Could you also share the chat?
I hope it comes as part of the. I hope it comes as, because in the chats there are some amazing stuff. All right, thank you guys. Great job.
All right, thank you.
It's good to see you in math in one. Let me end this.
Is it done?
Hi, Anna.